Mad Max is an open world game based off initially they're like, no, it's not based off the movie because they don't want it to be judged by the movie because the movie was awesome. They're like, oh crap, now I have to make something like that. So, but it is kind of a lot like the movie. In fact, the beginning is like exactly the same as the movie. Created by Avalanche Studios, and I got a couple issues with this game. First of all, that doesn't look like 60 frames per second. Apparently the PC port is just like amazing, and I was watching Total Biscuits videos, so I was getting used to the 60 frames per second. So now I won't do it, and I'm like, 30 frames per second. You know what? At this point, I'll take 60 frames per second, like 900p. If you can't get 1080p, go to hell, but just please give us the 60 frames per second. It makes such a big difference. For an open world, it is like all desert, and it's like probably the best looking desert I've ever seen. It's got like a spiky look to it, and there's black, and there's orange, and there's brown, and you can see like big towers off in the distance, and there's smoke, and the sky is what changes color. The desert's pretty standard, but the sky goes to like the pink, to blue, to orange, and like the rocks crumble if you drive through them a little. But as an open world, even though if you open up the map and there's tons of icons, there wasn't really like much to do or anything I wanted to do. And the lighting's okay, but the textures are pretty bad. On PS4. And the opening cutscene is like, I hate in-engine cutscenes. It's so crappy looking. You see that like super-ass fake spurt of blood come out of the guy's head. But when you are driving around in the car, like the dust coming off the wheels looks really good. The fire and smoke effects are probably some of the best I've seen in a game, and they match the movie perfectly. It's like this bright, fiery orange when the stuff explodes, and when you smash a car, like crap flies off it. That part looks exactly like the movie, so they did a really good job there. And in the game, you're either doing two things. You're either driving around the car, or you're on foot doing an even worse, even more oversimplified version of the Batman combat. And I hated it. Really slow and dull and tedious. And you spend most of the game on foot. You're like going through these fairy Shadow of Mordor looking like strongholds with the orange, and you're running around and you gotta hold X or hold square to do everything. Oh, smash this insignia. Oh, climb sliders. Like, can we just push the button? Please? Please? And Max walks around all wonky. You can't quite do the super spin thing. I mean, it's better than The Witcher, but that's not saying much. It's just like, every time it makes you get out of the car, you're just like, ugh. The driving's pretty good. It's really sensitive, so you might like that, you might not. I suppose oversensitive is better than not sensitive enough, but why can't there be a slider to adjust how sensitive it is? And I'd like to say that the car combat itself is good, and then every time you get out of the car is when it sucks, but even the car combat is just really lacking. Like I said, when you like kill an enemy car, it looks awesome. But after like 12, 15 hours in, all I can do is like ram them into them once, and then you play Ring Around the Rosie to try to get the enemy car in front of you. There's so few ways of damaging enemy cars. And you look at like in the menus, like apparently there's so many ways to customize the car. It takes way too long to get to any of that. Like you have a shotgun, but there's like 4 shells in the whole game. Bullets are so rare. There's a harpoon, but it doesn't, sometimes it shoots at other cars when I press B, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what's up with that. If you remember in the movie, Mad Max Fury Road, the guys had the boomsticks thing. They were fighting as they were driving alongside each other. He was shooting harpoons at it and then braking to try to slow it down. He had a buzzsaw thing. It's just, there is so many creative ways of fighting between the cars while they're moving in the same direction. But if you have a car behind you in Mad Max, like, you have to stop and turn around. That's all you can do. It's so limited. And I gotta say, with the world building, they do echo, like, the Mad Max, like, oh, everyone's crazy thing pretty well. Like, there's a guy with, like, a bunch of metal things in his face, and there's a guy who's prancing around like a crow, and he's like, bah! Mad Max is a really boring protagonist. Is like, people need to not ignore how important the protagonist is. Having a protagonist like Geralt instead of Max can improve your game dramatically. I mean, he's got an Australian accent, which I feel like why didn't you have Hugh Jackman voice him? Give him some kind of character. He's just a really boring dude, and he looks dumb. You gotta give him a cool outfit, too. He's wearing, like, suspenders and a t-shirt. This game was just, I found it really boring. It was not fun to play. I rarely enjoyed myself. It's like, the car isn't even the center of the game. It's like, the car is taking you from place to place, and then you get out and do things on foot. Like, I feel like the car should kind of be the purpose in a game called Mad Max. I feel like open world just may not have been the best choice for a Mad Max game. Like, just a racing game would have been a much better idea. Do something like Twisted Metal or Mario Kart, where you're, like, fighting trying to get to the end. And this is gonna be, like, a new thing. Like, I'm gonna change my scoring system a little. Is this me trying to get out of spending a lot of time with a game I don't like? Yes. Is this me trying to save money when I have to be renting games? Yes. But I feel it's more helpful and more honest than giving a low score. So, since I didn't finish Mad Max and I had no desire to, I'm gonna give Max an incomplete.
Failure.
And if you look at it, I think that can be even more shameful than a low score, because like I'm not even gonna play you. I don't even want to bother. So like Until Dawn, I finished all the way because it was so short. So like a low score would mean it was equally as bad. It was just short enough for me to speed through in time. This is what Elder Scrolls Online would have gotten to. But hey, you want to build me a time machine? I will go back and I will fix it. And then I'll do a bunch of other things with that time machine. Whether you take that score as the game is incomplete or whether my video is incomplete is up to you. I don't know. Total Biscuit, worth a buy. Don't finish the games before they do videos, so I don't feel bad about it. Thank you for watching. I'm Wesley Tomsky. Like, share, subscribe, and comment if you'd like to join the crusade against all evil that plagues this place we call Earth. Because under the sun, nothing matters but God.